Welcome back to yet another Wednesday and yet another beautiful World Chess Championship match. And in today's match, we have actually a rematch or like a return match. We have the same matchup. We have Vasily Smyslov, the challenger, and Botvinnik, the defending champion. But we have a little bit of drama. Well, that's why this mini title is called Trust Issues, because Botvinnik, he thought that Smyslov was a little bit too well prepared in his openings that he felt he should have been better prepared in, and he thought, maybe my second is leaking some prep, so I'm gonna play this match alone. And that's maybe gonna come back to cost him. I'm not saying he loses the match, but I'm just saying. So we have the debut match. We have the game number 1. And Botvinnik has the white pieces, now Smyslov has the black pieces, and they just play an English opening, right? A chill English opening. Botvinnik used to love this c4 e4 systems, and I actually like this myself, and it's quite the chill positions that you obtain from this, where you just trade knights here, and now you just push in the center, and you don't really have a worry. But at the same time, if a position is too chill, you can be too relaxed, and if you're too relaxed, you can actually go wrong. That's actually what happened here. F4 maybe was not the most accurate move. Maybe here, something like B4 could have been tried. And the thing is, you might be scared about takes. Let's look at this. But the thing is, you try to get out of the way early. You play 95, and now 95 comes in with the threat. And if you don't defend this threat, then it's gonna be quite bad. So after takes, for example, this is not the best position for black. I just come back and I take the knight, and now again it's chill again, but black is slightly better. Instead, F4 and Botvinnik went a little bit too crazy. He forgot the chill part from the opening. And now after a couple of trades, it's actually Smyslov that's in the driver's seat, and he's gonna try to make something happen. First of all, he quite nicely isolates this pawn on a dark square, and he's gonna attack that later. And then he centralizes his queen, and this bishop is a little bit stuck right here, and I just told you about that. He's gonna attack this pawn. F5, and okay, he's not scared about this trade because he knows that at the end of the day he's winning this pawn. And now Botvinnik tries to get some counterplay, and he does get some counterplay, but in the end he just realizes that he has nothing, and he actually resigns after playing this move because it's so simple. Queen c5 check, king g2, let's say a3. A3, you want to take, but I'm actually inviting you to take, because now Queen c5, and you cannot stop this pawn. I mean, let's say you try to give a check, right? If you try to give a check, I just come back and I check you, and now you're forced to get a queen trade, and my pawn is faster. If you try anything else, well, I'm just gonna slowly crush you here. For example, queen a5, putting pressure on this. If you try to go queen a1, now I'm just coming with the king, and it's easy. So Smyslov wins a nice game, but Botvinnik, he's not a player to just blow from the board. And we have a Sicilian defense, a Richard Rouser variation. I'm not going to get into the specifics. This has been played. This has been tried a lot of times. And now Smyslov has the white pieces, and he's looking for obviously bishop b6. Botvinnik sees it, and he stops that. And now, after both players, they make their plans. Smyslov got his nice knight here on b3, but Botvinnik got his nice bishop pair. So let's see who was right, about the position. Well, Smyslov explodes here a little bit, makes this king a little bit weaker, and also now doesn't trade queens, puts pressure on this pawn, and Botvinnik is gonna defend that. So now we have just centralizing with the rooks, and finally e4. This move opens up this way of attack. And here, for some reason, I don't exactly know the reason why Smyslov did not play this rook to c5 move, now nicely defending this bishop, and right? Because if bishop takes, right, just rook takes, for example, rook takes, and you should be fine here. Again, there shouldn't be a lot of worries. Rook e8 is the worst thing that can happen, and then you can do the check, the king is forced to move, right? But here, Smyslov decides to just sacrifice the exchange, and it all goes downhill from that. I don't know, maybe he saw that he had an attack, and or maybe he thought he was simply just drawing this, but in fact he's not. And now just after rook takes, the king just gets hunted out, and he's forced to resign. Actually, in this position, he resigns because he's gonna lose the queen, right? And now probably this pawn, and then he doesn't have chances in this variation. So Botvinnik comes back quite nicely. And in the very next game, we have another chill English opening, as I like to call them. But this time, Botvinnik is a little bit more, active. He gets the center closed, and now this resembles more like a position that you would get from a king's Indian, where black tries to play f5. Now white is gonna stop that. White is actually gonna stop that because it doesn't matter that you can arrive right here. You don't actually have anything. That's the beauty, and you're gonna see white just played a beautiful game. By the way, Botvinnik is with the white pieces in this game, and because you cannot do anything just because your knight is so awkward here. Like if you try to go back with the knight, I mean, what are you doing? I'm just gonna come in with the bishop, king h8, for example, h5, and I'm just breaking through. Like, yes, by the time that you get here to threat and checkmate, I'm just stopping it, and you don't have one single threat. So that's why, Smyslov tried to be as solid as he could, but the knight gets kicked out here, and you don't care about the complications. The knight just gets kicked out, and I've had a similar game where my opponent simply got his knight stuck here on a6, but this time Smyslov comes back to the knight as fast as possible, but it still doesn't matter because Botvinnik just closes the position, and now where are these knights actually going? These knights are just trash, essentially. They don't have any purpose in life. And Botvinnik is just gonna play, again, as I've mentioned, relax. He's just gonna pick up a pawn, right, come back, and now consolidate here, make sure that he's safe, right? By the time that this knight got here, he's already there with the defense, and he's just gonna threaten to infiltrate on this side, pick up this knight right now, and just, push the pawn, get in with the queen, remaneuver the knight. And here I suspect there was some sort of like time trouble, and that's why the players hesitated this much. But now, here, by the way, this rook sacrifice doesn't do anything. The king just moves and that's it. But Botvinnik decided to be safer than rather safe than sorry, and Smyslov resigned because he felt this would be pointless to try to push for anything. Here, this variation is quite interesting, but it's not that interesting. Here, if you try like f3, I can just come here, and if you try to take the pawn, I can just sacrifice my rook back. And even if you manage to take here, I just have to take some b7, and that's it. I'm winning. And Botvinnik definitely showed that he is still like the world champion. He was not bad by any means, even at this time, and even at the age of 45, he was really good. And now we're gonna have a Grunfeld defense, the Russian variation, the Smyslov variations of all variations, and Smyslov is obviously playing, so that means that he's gotta show us why he played this variation. He has the white pieces, and after the following transformation, it's not hard to see why. He has this immense, active bishop here. Black's knight is not impressing anybody. In fact, he's threatening to take this pawn, but cold-blooded Smyslov just takes that. Because if you take this pawn, I just king b1, and if you come back, wow, I just win your rook. So, that doesn't make any sense. So we try to move the rook to c6, and now again, it doesn't really work if you try to take the pawn. And now I just simply go knight d4, and something similar happened in the game. Botvinnik saw that it was pointless to take this pawn, and that pawn actually remained quite untouched, as you would simply lose time. And now, here I should have mentioned that there's a really nice move to be found, and that is this exchange sacrifice that really accelerates everything. And now you just take this pawn, and you're essentially threatening knight e6, and Botvinnik did this, and now, well, yes, he made it to a bishop versus knight with 2 pawn advantage, but that's not somewhere that you really want to arrive. And he actually resigned in this position, because what are you going to give up the bishop like this? This is pointless. And Smyslov began after this game number 6 to have, just a really nice match. This is game number 8. This game number 7 was drawn, and we have another Sicilian Richter-Browser variation we have seen, but now no more lone castles, and we have the saving of this bishop here. But now we have knight e3. We have the following trade, and the pawns are equal, but you can already sense who's better. Like, look at this attacking potential here by white, and he actually doesn't need to do anything with his rooks. He just needs to get with the queen and exert pressure that way, bringing his rook to the center, just take the pawn, and now just simply be solid. I mean, you just take the pawn, and now you're good. Queen comes back, bishop blocks, queen comes back, no trade because you want to attack, but at the end of the day, you're just down 2 pawns, and white is just solid. I mean, as you can see. And okay, opposite color bishops endgames, they might be drawn in some situations, but in this particular situation, it's not the case, because these 2 pawns that white has, they are simply connected as pawns. And black is going to try to create some counterplay, but white, in this position, black resigns, because for the past few moves, look at what white has done. White simply just has to push this pawn, and that's it. And because if you try to, let's say, play f3, okay, I'm just going to play g3, these pawns are stuck now. If you try to double up the rooks to stop this advancement, okay, I cannot really go a3, right? Because queen c7, and now if rook b7, okay, you get the check. But let's say I play king b3, king b3 to stop this check. You're gonna double up the rooks, right? And now I cannot push anymore. Are you sure about that? Rook a1, and now rook a7, you're gonna stop me. And now a really nice move, rook to a4. And now I'm picking up this one. I'm attacking you from all sides. It's impossible for you to defend. Queen c8, you want to defend against that? Okay, bishop b7. Now I disconnect your rooks. I attack your queen. Either you sacrifice the exchange here, or you simply defend the bishop, but now you pick up your pawn. A beautiful game played by Smyslov, just squeezing Botvinnik. And now in game number 12, this is I think this is a hyper accelerated dragon, and this was quite analyzed before, but white does have just a really nice win percentage in this variation, and it's not hard to see why, because at the end of the day, black just gave white a pawn for the prospect of a slightly worse endgame. I'm trying to say. Black's best position is a slightly worse endgame, and by the time that these pawns arrive, now a beautiful fight here by Smyslov. He's not losing the rook, guys. He's not losing the rooks, because how are you gonna stop the pawn? You cannot come back. Oh, rook h2, but you can still not come back, right? You can still not come back, and just a really nice game here. Nice and easy game played by Smyslov. And I'm not going to get into the exact theory here. By the way, you cannot take, obviously you would lose your bishop. So always keep an eye out for tactics. And at the end of the day, it doesn't take long for Smyslov to find the win. It takes a little bit of time. I suspect, again, some time trouble here. Or maybe he didn't find the right plan right away. But Botvinnik resigned here after rook e5. Botvinnik resigned here. Because rook e5, I just not king b4, and it's pointless here. It's quite pointless to play this game on. It's quite easy to win here as white. You just play rook b3, you just push the pawn. But really, to his credit, he did win one more game, and this was this game. We had a Ninja Indian, an opening that we have seen before in this type of matches in this era. I guess it was really popular, and this was explored a lot back then, and I think that's partially the reason why it's not played today so often. Um, but there's still a lot of potential here. So White gets this huge center, as you get in some of these Nimzo-Indian positions, but that's what you're kind of trying to stop as Black. And if White gets the center with no repercussions, then it's gonna be bad. And you can already see Botvinnik, okay, cannot push f4, but has the spin on the knight. His knight is looking okay, maybe for this, maybe for this. And Smyslov is gonna try to stop that, right? c4, okay, you're not going here, okay. And no problem, I trade here. I simply consolidate, I don't allow you to come in. And now, okay, king h1, rook b7, rook a2. But who is actually infiltrating? And last ditch effort here by Smyslov, sacrificing a pawn to try to get his queen in. But now, a really nice move. And this endgame is just completely solid. You're up a pawn here as White. And Smyslov just resigned here after rook a8 check. Because after you come, let's say king f7, e5, no problem here. Bishop f5, you try to save your bishop, e6. You come here. I can play whatever. I can literally play whatever. I can play with g8, for example. The only thing I cannot play is check. I can even play knight here, no problem with the trade. You cannot really push. I mean, if you push, I just go rook c2. I mean, there's no real problem. And a beautiful game by Botvinnik. But it just seemed like in this match, Smyslov was just much better. And I decided to show you kind of like every single game that happened, although I didn't really go in depth. If you don't really like this style of videos, then you can feel free to tell me if you like it. Like maybe 2 or 3 games and the games are just analyzed, and then I don't go so fast through them, but I explain the match still in the situation, and I just select like 2 or 3 games. You understand what I'm trying to say? Or you like this format of a lot of games, but they are not all that well explained, all that in depth actually. And here, right, we have this endgame in the meantime, where okay, White has 2 knights, but Black has the bishop, and we all know the bishop is supposed to be advantageous in this type of endgames where we have pawns basically everywhere. I don't want to say on both sides of the board, but we basically have pawns everywhere. You're gonna say, well, yes, we have pawns everywhere, but that means it's a close position, so knight should be better. Well, you might be true. That might be true. You might be right. I don't know. English stopped for a second there for me. But Black has his own prospects. H5 closing everything down. Look at White's pawns. They're all on dark squares. This is a dark square bishop. That's not good. The knight comes in, and now White tries to trade. But look at that. Smyslov comes in, and this pawn is gonna be won because you cannot defend your death square with knight. I have the knight here, and if you simply concentrate too much on the king side, I'm just gonna push my pawns on the queen side, and that's exactly what Smyslov did. He won this pawn, managed to get a nice fast pawn there, but okay, Botvinnik is controlling it. But how long can you control it for? And just the king puts this immense pressure on the white king, and now after some remaneuvering moves, it's not hard, it's not easy to win such a position, but now finally Smyslov sees an opening. Botvinnik did not play b5 here because simply bishop to d8, and you cannot push this pawn. If you try to go, let's say knight b4, bishop b6, knight c2, right? You just say, well, you just repeat moves. The thing is king g4, and after you go knight b4, now I'm finally gonna push f4. And after this trade, oops, I made a mistake here. Not king takes, but actually bishop takes on d4. That's the more important thing. If king takes, this is a draw because now this is a fortress. The knight comes here, and I'm just gonna pick this pawn up. Wow, really interesting. You see, endgames are quite complicated. You give up this pawn, but you take on d4 instead, because now after king d3, you can just come back, and after takes, now you can take, but you have 2 passed pawns, completely night and day difference. And Smyslov did win one more game to reach actually 11.5 points to 8.5. So a 3-game lead at this point. It was a French defense. Botvinnik, I think, was getting a little bit desperate at this point. He was trying to win as fast as possible, and somehow, again, not an expert on the Frenches, but somehow White is here better despite the triple pawns because of the pressure that he has on Black's position. And now the pawns get untripled, they get doubled, you know, White essentially has a better endgame here. They're up a pawn, and Smyslov is slowly gonna convert that. Give a couple of checks, make sure he's solid, bring in the rook, bring in the pawn, bring back the bishop. Now it's impossible to defend this pawn, so he's gonna win that a move later, excuse me. And okay, Botvinnik manages to get a little bit of counterplay, but it's definitely not sufficient, and here he resigns, because even if you take this pawn, this might be holdable by us, right? The low-rated players like rook f4, and then maybe I can somehow fool you h5, h4, and then I don't know, g5. After takes, somehow I can maybe have some problems. But for them, it's simply rook f8 to put your rook behind the passed pawn, and you just push, and it's GG's. And that was the match. I mean, Botvinnik simply was defeated, and Smyslov was just a better player. But you know, there was a clause, and that said that the world champion can play a return match the following year, right? That was the special thing that the world champion had. Like, if he lost the title, he didn't have to wait the whole 3-year cycle for the candidates to be over and play the champion. He actually could get his title back the very next year. So that's what Botvinnik is gonna attempt. And until then, well, we'll see. Kowalsky out.